Welcome to American Top 40. My name's Charlie Van Dyke, and I'm sitting in for Kasem this week. This is the first weekly countdown of 1988.
Number 40.
Leading off, she is our only debut this week. A song that's taken 14 weeks of climbing the Hot 100 before finally reaching the top 40. It's by an English band who've built quite a cult following in the U.S. over the last few years. They're The Cure, and their lead singer is Robert Smith. Coming in at number 40 with Just Like Heaven, The Cure.
And now we're up to the English band who are exploding into stardom. So how does their lead singer plan on dealing with that success? He says he's going to quit. The band is The Cure. They formed 13 years ago in Crawley near London. They've released more than 10 albums and have slowly gone from a cult band to now star status. And on their most recent American tour, they not only filled arenas, they filled stadiums, like Giant Stadium in New Jersey and Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles. Their albums are now million sellers, and they're in the top 40. It's everything a band could want, right? Well, The Cure's leader, Robert Smith, recently told writer Richard Cromlin, "It's reached a point where I personally can't cope with it, so I've decided that this is the last time we're going to tour." Robert says he's just not comfortable with all the attention the band is getting now. He says it's really nice meeting people after a concert, but still, it's very weird to be at the center of a group of 30 people all listening to what you're saying. And when that group turns into 300 people, it gets more than weird. Some people revel in it, but I don't. That's Robert Smith, who says The Cure's most recent tour is their last.
Casey's biggest hit.
2 years ago this week, one of the biggest hits in the USA was a song written by Robert Smith, the leader of The Cure, as a wedding present to his wife. A song he hates to sing. That's because it's a very personal, emotional song, and Robert has built up an image over the years as a cool, detached singer who never expresses feelings. Robert says, quote, "This song is the most difficult one I've ever sung. I'm terrified people will laugh. It's very painful to actually show what you're feeling deep inside." 2 years ago this week, that emotional wedding gift was one of the biggest hits in the USA. We're counting down now to The Cure, an English band with a strange way of celebrating success. Just when they were selling millions of albums and headlining concerts, they announced they were calling it quits. Details coming up.
Casey's Top 40.
Well, now we're up to an English band with a strange way of celebrating success. Just when they were selling millions of albums and headlining concerts, they announced they were calling it quits. They're The Cure, a band in our survey with their first top 40 hit in almost 3 years. But it's a hit their fans never expected to hear. You see, in 1989, after 13 years together, after working their way up to headlining LA's Dodger Stadium, they told stunned fans they were calling it quits. Why were they giving up the sweet smell of success? Well, at the time, The Cure's wild-haired, eccentric lead singer, Robert Smith, said, "I just don't feel comfortable with the kind of attention I'm getting. There are too many people who want a bit of The Cure. I want to go back to a time when I can walk down the street and nobody recognizes me." Unquote. To their millions of fans around the world, that sounded like the end. But in 1990, a year after they announced they'd called it quits, The Cure released a CD of remixes called Mixed Up. Then in early 1991, a mini-CD of early Cure songs recorded by the BBC became an underground bestseller. And then the band temporarily reunited for a tour, producing a hit live album available only in England. Looking back over their so-called retirement, it became obvious to their fans, the band, and even Robert Smith himself that The Cure hadn't really gone away. These days, it looks like what some feared was the end has become a new beginning for The Cure. They've just released a new CD titled Wish, and last week the first single from that CD entered our survey.
Casey's Top 40.
I'm Casey Kasem on Casey's Top 40. Well, now we're up to the latest hit for The Cure, a British band known for their gloomy lyrics. But they just brought a smile to the face of one of their biggest fans, a teenage girl suffering from a life-threatening illness. That big fan is Martha Lopez from Orange County, California. Martha has hemophilia, a serious blood disease in which a simple cut can lead to terrible bleeding. And when Martha's disease recently took a turn for the worse, her nurse called the Make-A-Wish Foundation, a non-profit organization that tries to make wishes come true for seriously ill children. The nurse told them how eager Martha was about The Cure's upcoming CD and seeing them live, and how scared Martha was that she'd never be able to do either. Well, the Make-A-Wish folks got to work, and on March 7th, Martha's 18th birthday, she was given a surprise party. Near the end of the party, a representative of the Make-A-Wish Foundation gave Martha a small box and told her it was a very special gift. One of her friends joked, "Yeah, it's probably from Robert Smith of The Cure." And you know what? It was. It was from Robert Smith and the rest of The Cure. It was more than Martha had ever wished for. A special video The Cure had made featuring their newest single and the band singing Happy Birthday just for her. You can imagine how thrilled Martha was, and the people at Make-A-Wish told us that ever since The Cure's big surprise, Martha's been doing better and she's responding well to treatment. Appropriately, The Cure's new CD is titled Wish, a title they chose long before they made Martha's wish come true.
Casey's Top 40.
I'm Casey Kasem on Casey's Top 40. Well, now we're up to the latest hit for a unique-looking, eccentric musician who says he can't find a cure for being recognized, and he says he's tried everything. He's the lead singer of the English band called The Cure, Robert Smith, and he's definitely an unusual-looking fella. His hair comes straight up out of the top of his head in a huge bird's nest. Then it swoops down into a massive bunch of stringy hair that hangs down all over his face. Robert always wears dark eyeliner like women used to in the old silent movies. He dresses all in black, and he constantly wears big hobnailed boots with metal-tipped soles. Robert Smith is definitely a memorable-looking fella. But he says he absolutely hates being recognized when he goes out on the street. It's not that he doesn't like his fans, he just wants his privacy. Just like Michael Jackson, Robert says he's tried a wide variety of ploys to avoid being recognized. One day he flattened down all of his hair under a hat and tried going out with no makeup on. But fans still came up to talk to him. He asked them, "Well, how did you recognize me?" And they told him it was his shoes. So he went back to the hotel and borrowed someone else's shoes. Then he went out again. And wouldn't you know it, his fans still recognized him because of the unusual shuffling way he has of walking. So Robert told us he just gave up and stopped trying to go out alone for a walk. These days, Robert Smith is more recognizable than ever, as his band, The Cure, keeps playing sold-out shows all over America.
Music.
One of the world's most popular English bands, The Cure, have released their first live album in North America and their second concert film. Both the movie and the album are simply called Show, and they were actually filmed at two of the band's American shows last summer. The album features 13 of the 18 songs performed in the movie, plus the band has released another live album called Paris, recorded in, you guessed it, London. Gotcha! It's Paris, of course.
The hits from coast to coast.
Well, now we're up to an American Top 20 Extra by The Cure, a band whose leader regularly decides it's time to break up. But then he realizes things are going too well to do that. Lead singer Robert Smith recently told an interviewer that he was amazed that the band had reached the 27-year mark. He never thought the band would last more than a month, which was the longest any of his bands had lasted in the past. Robert says he's still surprised that The Cure continues to exist. Quote, "Every couple of years I go, okay, we're finished, we can't go on. But we do. I'm always drawn back to the band. I've tried doing other things, but I just don't get as much satisfaction. So I just continue doing it." Now, with that thing they continue doing, here's Robert Smith and The Cure with an American Top 20 Extra from 1989. Love Song.
Casey counts them down.